encourage that type of communication.
What's going on, Pack? Steve from Pack Leader Dogs here. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about the slip lead, which is a tool that I love to use when starting with the dog and finding a way to communicate with the dog through pressure and release. It's a tool that's used in dog shows, vet offices, at shelters. It's a really good way to have communication with the dog without even using words, commands, just through pressure. So I'll show you the basic pieces. This is what it looks like, the basic pieces of a slip lead. Here first we have our handle. This is where you're going to put your hand and hold from here. Next we're going to move down and you have the stopper, which actually the stopper will prevent the tool from opening up. So here you have where the loop goes onto the dog's head, right here. So this is going to go onto a dog's head. And then the stopper prevents the leash from opening up very wide when working with the dog. So here I'm going to show you guys on Jake how we put on a tool. So if I was going to be walking a dog on the left side, I would open up the loop here and move the stopper down, so I would create a P. So you guys can see that this leash makes a P, right? And then from a P, I'm going to now put it on Jake from here. So facing the dog, the P goes on. If I was going to be doing it to walk the dog on the right side, you're going to see that I'm going to make it a number 9. So now I would put it on this way. And I'll show you why really quickly. So now I have it set up for the right side. With the stopper, I'm going to push this all the way down to a point where I can still fit some fingers underneath Jake's neck, so there's no pressure on the leash. But when I tighten the leash, I can have pressure, right? When I let go, it prevents the leash from opening up very wide and potentially falling off the dog. So very important that we put it on here. Okay? So this is how I would put it on him. The next part of what I'm going to show you guys is the position on the neck. So the most important thing to do is to put the leash on the neck at the very top of the neck. You'll see dog shows walking the dogs with that very high on the neck so they can walk the dogs proudly and have full control of the body. Having control of the head and the top of the neck is like your power steering of a dog. The next part of the neck, which I do not recommend, is the middle of the neck, which would be right here. This is when you put pressure on. This is the point where you're going to start feeling the dog giving some coughing, maybe a little bit of choking stuff. So that's definitely a spot we want to avoid. And the last spot would be down at the bottom of the neck. So the only time I put it on the bottom of the neck is when I'm going to be taking a dog on, let's just say, a rollerblade, and I want them to pull me. Sometimes I'll put it nice and low on the neck so they have a lot more leverage for pulling and things like that.
When I'm working with a human and I'm kind of teaching these skills, I'll start with the simplest action, which is just a straight line back and forth. Okay, but for me, I'm going to be moving all over the place and using a lot of pressure and release to communicate with him and teach him through the leash. What I want to do is just catch him not paying attention to me. And what you really want to watch is me being a part of the release of pressure, even if it's subtle, even if the leash barely tightens, I still want to be part of it. Now, if he's going to throw his head like that, I can't make it any more obvious than that, right? So I didn't really do anything there. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with this sort of disorganized, chaotic behavior where he's not really focused on me at all, and we're going to move that into organization without ever really using a lot of pressure or any big corrections on the leash.
Or you're not doing any words yet because
no words.
There's no association?
Yeah, I just want him paying attention, and then I'll tell him what that's called.
Okay.
Right? So I'll create what I want, and then I'll give it a name.
Don't name it till you love it.
I think that's one of the things that identify a word too soon to it, but the dog doesn't do it, then heel means, bark at other dogs. So it's not to be.
Yeah.
So you'll notice I want the leash pretty much loose the whole time.
Right.
What I want him to start to learn, up to this point, the leash has been a control tool and a restraint tool.
Okay.
Okay? What I want him to learn is this leash is like my umbilical cord. Okay? I'm feeding him information. Anytime he feels tension on that prong collar, I want him to know that it's for a reason. It's never just random.
Okay.
It's always meaningful. It's my way of communicating with him and telling him what I need him to be doing. So the pressure on the collar is to motivate him. Okay, it's mildly annoying. The pressure on the collar is to motivate him. The release of the pressure is to educate him. Okay, it tells him when he's doing the right thing. So the moment he gives and turns with me, I want to say, great job. And I say that by relieving that pressure. That's the reinforcement. Also, I like to use my left-hand turns as an opportunity to work on social pressure and yielding. So I'll turn and use body language into the dog and get him to clear out of my space. That's another...
And you're doing that without leash pressure, you're just using the butt, yeah.
I'm strategic about it, so I'll do it at a time when he's already slightly behind me, so I don't have to pull him backwards first and like knee him in the ribs on accident, right? But so what we're starting to get already is from the beginning where he was just very, very chaotic, is a lot more organization to his movement. You know, really happy, prancy, tail up, turning with me, paying more attention. Is it going to be perfect 100%? No, of course not. I've barely really done anything. But there's no pressure, and he's already turning.
He keeps checking in with you too.
Checking in, you're going to start getting a lot of eye contact, right? You get this kind of stuff, right? So no treats, no real force, just information with the leash. And it's amazing what happens once the dog starts to see that you're giving useful information and you're doing it consistently and clearly, how much they start really focusing on you and actually asking for more. Right. Now, here's a couple key points here. Before I start adding the heel command in, one thing I want to make sure I start getting to happen is I can start and stop the dog pretty easily. And there's some keys to the stopping part to make it happen in a gentle way. So one key is I'm not going to pull straight back as I stop. Straight back along the spine loads the dog. They want to kick forward. Okay? And if I have too much momentum in the beginning, it's going to take a lot of force. So my leash work is going to be very gentle up to stop them. That'll also begin to motivate for the sit naturally. And I'm going to do it right after an about turn. So I've made a turn to break momentum, take one or two steps, and then come to a stop. And as I stop, give the information. Tell him with the leash, hey, we're stopping. Good job. Right? So let me show you what it looks like. It may not be perfect the first time, and that's okay. We're gonna progressively get them clean.
So again, so the release of pressure is the reward.
It's the reward. That's the reward.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the reward. Pressure motivates, release educates.
Excellent.
That's the easy way to put it. Right? So, right off the bat, now I can tell him heel right now before I start moving. And that's the way I do it. Anytime I'm going to start moving, I tell the dog heel. I don't tell him anything when I turn. I don't tell him anything when I stop. But before I start moving, that's my opportunities to condition the dog to what heel means. Heel means pay attention now. For the next duration of time, we're going to be moving in a way that you need to stay focused. Right? And there's a rule about it. So you're just not allowed to check out. Okay? And this is the subtle communication of the rule. This is me gently saying, hey, don't do that, no big deal, but we need you to stay focused. Right? So, what's his name again? Jack. Jack, heel. We start walking. Now, I'm going to just get him in the mode again, because he had a little break there. So I'll do some turns. Again, look at how his attitude perks right up. With that clear reinforcement, that is a reinforcement. That is a reward when you release that pressure. He perks right up with it. Right? Now, after I turn a couple steps, very subtle on the leash, but it gives him the information, and we already start getting the sit, which we ultimately are going to want. I'm not telling him sit yet. And what did he do immediately? He looked at me. What's next? Right? And then, Jack, heel, pressure, release. He doesn't move with me, a little bit of pressure, release right away.